Hi, I'm going to do a review on two movies. The first is going to be Wrath of the Titans, which opened up on March 30th and is a sequel to the first Clash of the Titans movie. The one that's part of this series, not part of the series that came out in 2010, and then I'm going to want to do a review on John Carter. Now, I know that the movie John Carter, it's been out in the theater for about 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks or whatever, and it's there's still people out there that haven't seen it yet. It's probably going to be in the theaters for maybe a few more weeks. So, I saw the movie about a couple of weeks ago. I just never got around to doing a review. I like that movie, and I still want to do a review on it, but I've been just so overwhelmed with so many things. But let's start off with Wrath of the Titans, which which is like I said, it's a sequel. It's a sequel to last Clash of the Titans movie in the series. And here's a little summary of it. Perseus braves the treacherous underworld to rescue his father, Zeus, captured by his son Ares and brother Hades, who unleash the ancient Titans upon the world. And I went and saw this movie, and I was kind of entertained by it. I was kind of entertained. And I keep hearing, I went on Rotten Tomatoes just out of curiosity to see, what the movie got as far as a rating. And it looks as though, the Rotten Tomatoes, they got like a 25%, and its predecessor got like a 28%. Now the movie critics on Rotten Tomatoes, or not the movie critics, but the moviegoers gave it a 70%. So you can tell the audience usually likes the movie more than the professional movie critics. And I thought that Sam Worthington did a good job as his character Perseus. And as I think the movie, I think it was to me, I think it was maybe a little bit better than its predecessor. It certainly had more villains in it. It certainly had more action in it, and the special effects were good. It had a lot of adventure, excitement, action. With that said, it did have some flaws. Maybe there could have been some better character development with some of the characters, such as Percy's son. Because the kid just kind of like pops in and out every now and then, and he really didn't have any lines. There could have been better character development there, and but overall, I'd say that the movie was probably halfway decent. I don't think it deserves the beating it's getting right now by the critics, and I found it entertaining, but then again, like I said, I could see some of its flaws. If you're looking for a good movie with sword fights, action, and adventure, then this is the kind of movie you want to go see. But if you're going to see it and you expect really good, there was good acting in it, but if you're expecting just an epic film, masterpiece film, you might come away a little disappointed. You're going to come away a little disappointed. But overall, I'd say I was entertained. It certainly was a fun movie. Special effects were good. Sam Worthington did a good job as in his role as that character, Perseus. So I thought it was all right. I thought it was better than the last one. Oh, and I also noticed, like in the last one, and in this one, they have that little mechanical owl, that robotic owl or something, or it's mechanical, maybe out of metal. Well, anyways, that they had in that, in the original that came out in the late 70s, early 80s, they had that one. They had that in the film, but it wasn't, it didn't fly around, beep or tweak or whatever. But yeah, so it was a good film. I thought it was good. So, but yeah, I think I give it a mild thumbs up. I'll say it was okay. Now, the next film we'll do a review on is John Carter. And John Carter, I like the film. Now, I know that film got a 51% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is not, it's not fresh. It's considered rotten. But I thought it was good. I mean, it was a cool movie. I've never read any of those books about John Carter, from Mars or whatever. The first place I heard about John Carter, I remember when I was a kid, I was watching the Cosmos, with what's his name, Carl Sagan, and I remember he used to do, it was a documentary show, and on one of those episodes they had a documentary about Mars, and he was talking about all this different stuff about Mars and everything, and he talked about his childhood, about a story in the book's called John Carter, of Mars, and so that's what the first place I heard about John Carter, and then this year they released a movie called John Carter, and I'm like, hey, I've heard of that name before, so I like science fiction. I think Mars is cool. I'll go see this movie. I'll think it might be fun, and I enjoyed it. Now the movie, or the planet, the Earth people call it Mars, but its inhabitants call it Barsoom. Barsoom, yeah, that's what the name of it. And its capital city, I guess, there is called Helium. and it was an entertaining film. It kind of reminded me a little bit of what's that film? Like the Star Wars prequels. Some of the ships, the sound effects of the ships taking off. And some of the aliens and stuff like that. There was even a big monster in an arena that was fighting that looked like the Rancor. In Return of the Jedi, when Luke Skywalker's fighting in this big pit against the Rancor, or I think I'm pronouncing that right. But they had a creature that looked just like that in this movie, and so yeah, the movie was pretty good. And like John Carter, he can jump really high, and the reason why he can is because the gravity on Earth is different from Mars. Now, this is when Mars was a live planet. This was before it died and became airless, because the movie starts off during the Civil War, and John Carter gets chased into this cave by Apache Indians. This is because it takes place in the 1800s, and he finds this medallion that creates a doorway, and he gets transported to Mars. And so yeah, it was a good film. I thought all the characters did pretty darn good in that movie. The actors, I thought it was an entertaining film. So yeah, John Carter from Mars. That was let me see here. And so like here's a summary of the movie. He's transplanted to Mars. A Civil War vet discovers a lush planet inhabited by 12-foot tall barbarians. Finding himself a prisoner of these creatures, he escapes only to encounter a princess who is desperate need of savior. So so the guy who plays John Carter is Taylor I can't pronounce his name, Taylor Kitsch or something like that. I'm not familiar with this actor. And then there's Lynn Collins, yeah. So there was some good actors and actresses in the film, and there was a lot of good adventure and action in that movie too as well. I think I like John Carter though a little bit better than Wrath of the Titans. But anyways, Yeah, I guess that's my review. I mean, I don't have anything else to say. I give that movie a thumbs up, and that's all I want to say. And everybody, take care. All right.